This episode of All Hitches is brought to you by the Fairfax Football Academy, the best QB training and development in all of Northern Virginia. Follow on Instagram at Fairfax Football Academy if you know what's good for you. You guys got me out there? All right. Fairfax Football Academy. Give them a follow. All right. Welcome back to All Hitches, America's #1 football podcast in all of Nova. 99% of the time, it's the best podcast 100% of the time.
That's that. The math ain't mathin'.
That's the old Ron Burgundy quote. Great man. Ron Burgundy. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. So I was looking at the website, and we are like 5 states short from having the whole map of someone coming onto the site.
Wow.
We're like the Dakotas, Maine, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and I think Idaho. I think once we get those 6 states in, the website will have gotten somebody from every state in this
That's impressive. Well, you know, they love their football in the Dakotas, and you know, all 8 people who live there, they love. I know they got good football. I watched the game against Colorado. They got good football over there.
Yeah.
A joke. I'm just making a joke. There's not a lot of people there, but I'm making a joke.
No, and it's cold. It's cold out there in Colorado. I'm in Colorado, and Colorado too.
In Colorado too. I'd like to know though, and I could probably look this up, but how many the Dakota like kids every year? Because the powerhouse teams, obviously, you know, are homegrown, like are from the Dakotas, and how many are from like different maybe surrounding states? Like
I think you probably group pretty well because I mean, when you get out there, like you better used to that lifestyle out there, or it'll be.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, cold weather, freaking, herding cattle, freaking buffalo.
Like, didn't like one of the places get like the first snow of the year just like a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I bet. I think they filmed Rocky IV up there. That's what I heard.
Oh, might have been there in Colorado. Actually, I was looking that up the other day.
Yeah, I think they did because it looks like the Soviet Union, so they filmed.
But my guess in the Dakotas, not a lot of throwing the football up there.
Yeah,
a lot of power runs up there, right? A lot of wishbone, a lot of I formation. I mean, when it's -2 degrees outside, I don't think you're running RPOs out the spread.
Well, I wonder if they have a lot of 8-on-8 football. I wonder if they kind of like how like in like small towns and like the South have the 8-on-8. I wonder if they do the 8-on-8 up there too, because I'm sure there's a lot of small towns, obviously.
Yeah.
If you're from Dakota football, get back to us and let us know. The population of some of the schools up there got to be small.
Now you're a big Rocky fan. I know talked about you being the Don King of Nova football.
De La Hoya.
What was it? I could not remember it, and I was going to look it up because I was going to cheat on it. What was the name of the Don King character in Rocky V?
Come on, that's the best you got for me. It's the best you can do. That would be George Washington Duke.
George Washington. I couldn't remember. I knew you'd know, so I figured I'd just wait till I saw you.
In the ring. Yeah. Tommy Gunn only fights in the ring. Marbury's outside. Come on. Love the Rocky movies. You know that.
Yeah, and I know you like Rocky V. I think you and Sly probably, maybe
The
Tommy
quotes,
Morrison.
The Rocky V quotes are freaking outstanding. Love the Rocky V quotes.
And that was his real son, right? Was that Stallone's real son?
Was tragic. Yeah, that was his real son. Yeah, Sage Stallone.
Yeah.
Love that movie though. I love all the Rocky movies. I could see 30 of them. I love them all.
Oh, you have the picture right behind you.
I do.
Again, who else in the world is rocking the Rocky Apollo mural? I mean, people have Rocky pictures. People not rocking the Apollo mural.
That's true. Rocky and Apollo on my wall. Well, buddy, I mean, week 2 is upon us, my friend.
It is.
And
I think there might be some must-win games this week. I mean, there's some
teams I agree.
That need a win already.
Yes.
But that's what makes football great, right? The short season.
Yeah.
Like, basketball, baseball, you can come out slow out the gate and then turn it on and be okay. Football, I mean, we're the one sport where, and it's changed a little bit now, but, every team doesn't make the playoffs in football. You don't have a chance to kind of redeem yourself in the playoffs. We were
talking about this. You and I were talking about this today at work. The basketball coach, and a great basketball coach, and that's the thing, right? I mean, basketball, baseball, lacrosse, you name it. They get into the playoffs. Everyone gets into conference playoffs, right?
Yeah.
They
Win a
kind of
game or two. You
right.
win a
They
game
go,
or two with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Football doesn't have that,
No.
you
No.
know.
So,
It's
but
tough.
it's what makes it great, right? I mean,
It is what makes it
you
great,
know, your margin for error is very small
right? It's one of the
to
last
pass it.
ones, right? It's one of the last sports where we're not just handing it out. You got to earn it.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah,
to earn it.
for sure.
Look, you and I were looking at the slate earlier off camera, talking about it. It's top heavy. It's definitely top heavy. And there's some, out of area games too. There's a lot of there's a couple of DC games.
Yeah.
There's Maryland game. There's some local teams that are kind of going a little further out for this
Yeah.
week. But there's some quality matchups though. You don't overlook week 2. The week 2 could be a sleeper week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I said before, there's some teams that did not get a win in week 1, and they definitely want to get a win in week 2. They don't want I mean, you lose 2 games in a row. Now all of a sudden you're thinking,
Yep.
if we don't win out, we're gonna have to go on the road. We're gonna have to go on the road in the first week of the playoffs. And
Yep.
you'd rather host a home game than have to go on the road. Be a road warrior for all the way through.
No doubt, no doubt. First and foremost, because you and I have been talking about this, I got the little sticky note right here, and I'm going to say, if you're watching this in the early part of the pod, please subscribe. Hit the button right there in front of you. It says subscribe. It starts with an S. Hit that button. All right. If you're listening on Apple, you're listening on Spotify, same thing. Subscribe. I think they have a button there too. Yeah, please do it. Please share it. It's growing. It's growing by the day. And it's awesome to see it. Like Coach Mesa said, the podcast is growing. The website is growing. Got fans coming out of everywhere. And it's nice. It's good to see it.
Yeah.
And it's also nice to hear when people are like, oh man, I can catch up on football. I'm kind of out of the loop, but on a Friday, or a Thursday or whatever day of the week, I listen to the podcast and I kind of get caught up on stuff before the game. So I kind of know what's going on. So that's awesome to hear. That's the whole point of this. So everyone kind of knows what's going on in the area, since it's so hard to kind of gather all this info.
And it's a good way to interact with us. I know we both try to do it every time someone comments, we try to interact with you back. So if you got something to say, say it. Be respectful.
Right.
But we love to interact with you guys. I mean, this is why we're doing it, right? You and I are not doing it for the money. As a matter of fact, we are paying to do this. So I say it all the time. But we are paying to do it. But we love to interact with you guys.
Yeah.
We put our player of the week stuff today, and I love the fact that we were able to do this for these kids. It seemed like some of these kids were kind of excited about getting an article written about them.
Yeah.
And I think that we love the interaction with you guys. I think one of the best things is last week when we were going to the couple games, guys were like, "Oh, you guys are the all Hitches guy. We like your stuff." I mean, that's awesome.
It's awesome to hear that. And a couple shout outs to some people. Yorktown, classy organization.
Oh, yeah.
Got the rosters out to us. A couple other schools got the rosters out to us. If you have a chance, please, you can DM us, you can email us, whatever you want to do. If you can get those updated, varsity rosters, that way we can be accurate and we can give, the kids and coaches credit for, awesome plays that are being made. Because right now, a couple times, it was Yorktown, the first one that we said it, we were like, oh, who's that big number 76? And, I wanted to call him Jim Lachey, so, now we know who the lineman is. So again, get us these rosters if you can, please do.
And it helps the riders too. It helps the riders on the site. So that way,
For
like
sure.
the worst thing was we had a wide receiver number 7 from WNL. I could not find who this kid was. Everywhere I looked, so I couldn't give him any credit in the article. I couldn't, I just had to call him wide receiver number 7.
Yes,
which is I did not want to.
You were calling him like it was like the old video games when they didn't have the rights to use the player's name.
The original Madden.
Yeah,
the original Madden back because
Randall Cunningham in Tecmo Super Bowl, he didn't give his name to the Players Association, so it said Eagles QB.
Just like Bill Belichick, right? Bill Belichick never gave his name to the video games, and it was always Patriots head coach.
Patriots head coach. Yeah. Well, Jordan did that too early on.
Yeah.
With NBA Live.
Yeah. we're going off a tangent. But on NBA Live 95, you go to create a player, and if you put in their last name and then hit select, it would populate who that player was.
Yes. Yeah, I did know
Yeah.
that. With the classic players, you could put in like old players and stuff.
Yeah. When Magic was already gone, you put in Johnson, and then it populated. And
that's actually my favorite basketball game of all time. NBA '95, one of my first.
NBA Live '95. Yeah, I played that quite a bit.
That's a good one. Well, look, and another thing is we want to get those. So get the highlights to us also this week. Get the stats to us if you can. Another shout out, Coach Overton. Real, awesome about getting us the stats.
Yeah.
All his guys. He had, every stat for every player. And that's awesome.
Another thing, so like Braddock, they update their stats on Max Preps. Now they don't send it to us, but at least I know, and Coach Doc's been pretty good at communicating, and the staff in particular have been communicating with us, and we know that they update their stats pretty regularly on Max Preps, which helps us out a ton as well.
Yeah. I always say, and there's a bunch of other schools who've gotten back to us on stuff, and it's not a shocker, right? That when we talk about, a lot of the programs that are quick to get to us, getting information to us, and you talk about, Coach Overton, Coach Doc, Coach Hansen at Yorktown, classy organizations, classy coaches doing it the right way. So we appreciate it. And if there's other coaches out there too that have gotten back to us, and we appreciate it from all you guys. We do appreciate it.
Absolutely. 100%.
All right, we're gonna get right into. We got the Fab Five, baby. We got the Fab Five, and I'm not talking about Chris Webber and Jalen Rose. I'm talking about Fab Five on the slate this week. Now we're hoping that the great, the incomparable Carl Frederick, Nova's Adam Schefter could join us later. And if he does, because he's going to be at Gainesville Garfield, and he's got some stuff he wants to talk about. So we're going to talk about that one last of the Fab Five, hoping that maybe he gets to us by then. If he doesn't, he's still going to be live tweeting. He's going to write an article for the site, so he's on top of it. But we're hoping to get him on. If we get lucky, fingers crossed a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's start things off, my friend. For a lot of people, this is the heavyweight matchup of the week. Braddock Madison. Woo.
Yeah. So that game looks pretty good. So I'll talk about we'll keep the boxing down. The undercard. The undercard is going to be Madison's offense against Braddock's defense. Young Braddock defense. A Madison offense I think is trying to find their way. They obviously have Nicely, and he's the marquee on that matchup. But Braddock has a defensive tackle, Trent Payne.
Ooh.
That apparently that had a really good game last week against Colgan. And so when you're trying to stop an explosive player like Nicely, having a defensive tackle like Trent Payne is a big deal.
Yeah.
And I think you and I have seen up close and personal. Bragg's been doing pretty well on their D line. I think they've had some really quality D line for a couple of years. They have a great D line coach in one Max Crush, who does a fantastic job there, working there. But I do think that is the undercard is that offense against that defense. I
agree with you, and Coach Crush, phenomenal coach. A friend of ours, friend of the show, former coworker of ours, all that stuff. But Payne. The first thing I think about is Clever Lang. And what's your prediction for this game? Payne. Because Trent Payne, if Madison better watch out, because they better, he will wreck a game plan.
Right. Well, I think anytime someone have on the interior, right? Somebody else on the interior is really gonna help them out. Just trying to find his stats here. Oh man,
he had a hell of a game the other day against
yeah.
So you got and obviously you mentioned the undercard for it, and I think that the on the marquee, and we'll get back to that when you find those stats, but on the marquee is obviously Braddock's offense. We're turning all those studs, right? We've got Ty Jackson, you got Kai Austin, you got the runaway Bordeaux, you got the other running back, and I'm sorry, and I refer to him as the other running back. What's the running back that they got from Patriot? What's his name? And I don't
gosh, I can't.
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna look it up because I don't want to, because he tore it up too.
Yeah,
and I know he was a new transfer, so I didn't have him originally. This is where the roster comes in. I didn't want. I want to get that right. So I'll get back to that in a second. But I mean, he's killing it, and they're bringing. So you got all these studs back, and then as we've already documented, Madison's bringing back what they brought back 10 out of 11. So I mean, this is the teeth of both teams.
Yeah. Well, I think should be exciting between those two. And they have a little bit of thunder lightning, right?
Right.
With those two backs at Braddock. But like you kind of talked about with Madison returning all those guys on the defensive side and Braddock being so explosive on offense.
Right.
The immovable object versus the unstoppable force I think is what you're going to get. And both of them have played in big games. Madison's not immune to a big to a big game. And kudos to both those coaches for taking on such a big game early on.
Yes. Oh, you know what? Peyton Holmes, that was it. That's right.
Because
I was determined not to screw that up. I'm going to give young Peyton, who looks like $1 million. And actually, the kind of comp, one of the comps that people were saying, and this is the second comp that I've heard of another duo. And we'll talk about Fairfax later. But you got Bordeaux and Holmes is kind of like the a little bit of thunder and lightning, little throwback to Allstott and Warwick Dunn.
Oh yeah. I can absolutely see that. Now the question is Brad can continue to rotate those two quarterbacks? A game like this is going to be interesting to see what they're going to continue to do at the quarterback position. Coach Doc has a plan. I'm sure of it. But you wonder in a game like this how he's gonna balance that. Because do you go with so we were talking with Coach Craig earlier about having a 3-pointer, a shooter with a hot hand.
That would be Coach Craig, the future Hall of Fame basketball coach from high school, right there.
State championship level basketball coach, correct?
He wears a ring, Coach. He wears a ring.
Yes, he does. So how do you handle it when you have the two quarterbacks? If one starts to get a hot hand, I mean, what does that look like? Should be interesting. And also against a team like Madison, I can't imagine that game not being a four quarter game. I mean, that's going to be, two teams going for 4 quarters, and is Braddock going to be able to kind of right the ship and not have the slow start that they had last week against Colgan?
It's Colgan, yeah. And Madison, I mean, that was a huge statement win against Stonebridge. Bringing that, I mean, both teams had big, I mean, that Braddock in the second half of that game was just a monster in the Colgan game.
Yeah.
Man, this is a heavyweight match. It's going to be, I'm sure, a raucous crowd there, just freaking out and having a good time. And it's supposed to be nice. Unlike last weekend, it's supposed to be nice on Friday night. So it's going to be 50 degrees. It's going to feel like Friday night football.
Yeah. And last year's game, Madison, it was 10-7 at the half, and then Madison in the second half kind of pulls away 21 unanswered points in the second half.
Right.
While the final is 31-7, I think that's a little deceiving on how competitive that game was.
Right.
Yeah.
And also last year, Braddock kind of caught fire by the second part of the season.
Right.
I feel like Braddock was rolling at the end of the year.
Right. They had the last hiccup against South County, and then from then on, they were just kind of
rock and roll.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to be a fun one. Can't wait for that one, buddy. All right. Next one on the Fab Five list. This is the elite boy right here. You got West Potomac, who did not play last week because they couldn't reschedule referees or whatever. West Potomac versus Centerville, who was coming off a win off of against AC.
So I'm curious, what do you think? Do you think that it's a disadvantage for not playing that first game? Now, you and I had to have a week 1 bye. So essentially what they had was a week 1 bye. Do you think now Coach Shields is a veteran coach? But what do you think the disadvantage of that is? Is it a disadvantage to not play that game? I mean, essentially not play the game.
What are you talking about? Well, Coach Louisville, you're talking about with Westpo, you mean?
Oh, yeah, Westpo. Sorry.
Westpo. A veteran coach, good team. Being someone who's experienced it, I don't know any of the coaches out there, how many of them have had the week 1 bye. I'm sure not everyone's had that. It's awful.
Yes.
You and I haven't talked about it, but I despised it. It was the worst thing ever.
Yes. I agree.
It's so bad. And
Yeah.
your guys are cold, especially, you're still trying to figure out, what you got and all that stuff. And everyone else is playing, and you're playing a team coming off a win, just absolute misery. I hated the week one bye. So, and then Centerville, a game against AC, 20-10. That was the one that we couldn't find a whole lot on that game. We
Yeah.
kind of found, I sent some emails out, didn't really hear back. So we don't really know much about the game. We know it was close, and Centerville scored the kind of go ahead points in the fourth quarter. But that's all I kind of gathered from that game. So don't really know what we're looking at here. One team hasn't played, other team played a game that we couldn't track down. So this is an interesting game.
Well, the score last year against Centerville was 23. So I mean, not you're talking about it's a 14-point difference, but it's AC scores a touchdown and Centerville scores one less. We haven't seen a lot of AC. We saw a little bit of Centerville, and like I said, I was really impressed with Shields last year. I mean,
yeah, you're a big Shields guy, yeah.
Yeah, I felt like they looked pretty formidable. And I feel like this game's a little bit blind, but I do think both those teams, need the win coming in, right?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Centerville is and both of them are really tough divisions. And you kind of don't want to start off the season, trailing another team. You want to stack up these non-district games as much as possible.
For sure. All right, third game of the Fab Five here, buddy. Langley versus Herndon. Now, I'm going to say right now, this might be my favorite game of the week. Now,
okay,
let me explain why. It's easy to say Braddock, Madison. You got two teams that have won the region and have been like top two teams in the area for God knows how long. But you're talking, and then Centerville also has been a great team for a long time. Westpo has been advanced the second, round the last couple of years in the playoffs. Langley versus Herndon, two teams that have really battled to become, relevant teams the last few years. I mean, they've both done an awesome job. And developing a little bit of a rivalry here, which is kind of fun, kind of a renewed rivalry here, Langley versus Herndon. Now, Herndon has not beaten Langley in a few years now. They've played some close games, Herndon is trying to claim, and they want to, kind of announce their dominance, and that they've arrived, right, in that conference. Well, guess what you got to do? You got to beat some of the teams you haven't beaten. Right? Yeah, and they need to come out and make a statement right here. This is that game you're talking about. You're going to go 1-1, like you've done the last couple of years now. 1-1. You can go 2-0 and make that jump. And this is a statement game for Herndon, right?
Yeah.
Langley now got it. They've won this game last few years. They are the hunted here in this one. They are the hunted. They're coming in as the favorite again. Let's see if they can they do it again. Can they do it again?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think you're dead on. And last year, I mean, I think you kind of touched on it. Last year, Langley, I don't think anybody saw that coming, and Langley jumped up and bit him. So I do think that might be a little bit of advantage to Herndon, that they're not going to take Langley lightly. Perhaps they did last year. They came in feeling good, feeling like, okay, we've kind of arrived. And then it kind of bit them. Now, in our piece we wrote on Troy Hamlin, he talked about their goal this year is to win championships. That's their goal. And I think due to what happened with Langley last year, they kind of know that we can't have that happen. They don't want to host a second round game. They want to host a second round game. And like we talked about before, you got to start stacking up your district. Your non-district wins, and I think actually, but this is a district win. Never mind. So it's even a bigger game, right? I mean, playing a district foe, right? You
and I talk about all the time about give me liberty or give me death. This is a liberty battle. This is a liberty battle right here, buddy. Yeah. So I mean, Langley's got to come strong. Herndon's got to come strong. Both these teams want this game. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the matchups here. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing, a player of the week, buddy, quarterback for Herndon. He's coming into this game against Langley. Langley just pitched a shutout at D. So you got the player of the week quarterback going against for that conference, playing against the D performance of the week with the shutout, Langley. And then you got Langley's. Who's your running back over there? The Rock. What do you call the? Ronk.
Ronkowski.
Gronkowski, right?
Ronkovitz.
Ronkovitz.
Yeah.
You know, Sandberg.
Yeah.
They ran the ball last week. They didn't really throw much, so they kind of kept Sandberg. You know, didn't have to do a whole lot as far as passing the ball. You know, is that going to change this week against Herndon? We're going to find out.
Yeah. So since 2007, Herndon's 2-12 against Langley.
Wow, I didn't know that.
2-12. They had back-to-back wins in 17-18, but they've lost since then. They lost 5 straight to them.
Oh man. Well,
and most of these games have not been close. You know.
Wow.
Herndon did have their stretch where they were, but you know, Langley's had their number all time wins and losses. Herndon 20, Langley 21.
Wow.
This is their chance to even the series all time against Langley. First time they played, 1965.
Wow. You're throwing some stats. The stat guy throwing some stats. Right. You just said it. What'd you say? 2. What'd you say? 2-12. What did you say?
2-12 since 2007.
So inadvertently, you just gave Herndon some great bulletin board material right there. And they call me Don King. 2-12. They're going to put that on the freaking locker room bulletin board right there. 2-12. Let's turn it around. 0-5 last 5 games.
0-5 last 5, and most of them have not. There's only been one close game in those 5. It was a 7-point game.
Battle cry
in 21. In 21.
I might need to tune into this one. Hopefully, everyone has NFHS. I mean, by the way, it's killing me that not everyone airs these games.
Yeah,
I thought FCPS at least had a deal with the NFHS. Apparently, not always, because not all the games are out. Hopefully that one, we can see that one. I can't wait. All right. Well, we got another battle of heavyweights here. And this one, again, we got the bye week team, Mount Vernon.
Oh, another one.
The inadvertent bye week team because they didn't play last week because of the rain and the referees and stuff. But they're playing Westfield coming off that loss to Patriot. Patriot can't, Westfield, I don't want to say must win, but you don't want to be 0-2.
Well, I think the reason it might be a must win is because you're chasing Madison.
Yeah.
Right. You know, you can't anticipate Madison losing very, very many games. You know, is it possible? Sure, it is possible. But history tells us that Madison probably going to win upwards of 7 games. I think if someone said you want to bet the over under 7 games, I think you're probably betting if you're going to good old Monopoly MGM. I think
that's right.
You're taking over the 7.
Taking those pink $5 bills, taking some bets.
I was like the dark orange $500 bills.
Yeah, of course, the best.
When I was a little kid, I always made me think of like movie popcorn. I saw those things. But for Westfield, when you're chasing a team like Madison, you can't let them get. So you worry that. So let's say Madison wins this week. You don't be chasing 2 games. Mm-hmm. Right? You don't. Mm-hmm. This chasing Madison by 2 games is probably bad for business because not only you're going to get their games, you can gain the game there, but then you need somebody else to beat them just to be tied with them.
Right.
You know. So I do think that's big. Another reason why it's big is I think this could be a statement game for Mount Vernon.
Yep.
You know, with Grimsley and Moet.
Yeah. Oh man.
With those 2 guys, this would be a huge statement game for them to win this game. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what. I mean, if you're Mount Vernon and you know the strength of your team is that quarterback receiver duo, you look at Patriot and obviously Jackson McCarter, another player of the week, by the way, for his conference, had a great day. But also the quarterback, Knutson. By the way, I got the confirmation is Knutson, so you pronounce the K, because I think we were saying it wrong. But yeah, Knutson, he had a day too. He was throwing some nice balls. He had time to throw. You know, will Mount Vernon protect Grimsley, right? Yeah. Well, that Westfield defense, which we know can be ferocious, will they get to and kind of disrupt that a little bit? That's going to be kind of fun to watch.
Well, last year it was the final score was 42-0 for Westfield against Mount Vernon. Now, if you're Mount Vernon and you come out competitive, I know we're not one for moral victories, but I think to be competitive in the game kind of shows you've arrived a little bit.
Yes.
And the week 1 bye that they got is I think really hurts Mount Vernon because
It does.
they don't know. They essentially haven't played anything through scrimmage on that Thursday before.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. God, that's really tough.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're nursing injuries and you're trying to get guys. These guys are ready to go. I mean, they're on the field, right? They're on the field getting the pregame in, and then it's kind of slams on the brakes. But I think that this could be a pretty exciting game. I'm sure.
Do they still do the week 1? I'm having a brain fart here. Do they still do the week 1 bye? I mean, I know this was inadvertent.
I don't think so. I think that was just us.
That was God bless.
I think it was just us.
God, let's give the team that's kind of struggling, trying to kind of get things going. Let's give them the week 1 bye. Yeah, whatever. I could write a book on some of my complaints. My wife hears all my complaints all the time. I got a lot of them. All right. Another one I can't. I mean, like I said, this Fab Five was fantastic. All right.
Yeah.
And the fifth one, and I guess Carl, the great Carl Frederick's not going to join us here, but he's definitely going to write an article and he's going to live tweet this one. This might be your favorite of the week too, my friend, because you're a big Garfield guy.
I am. I do like Garfield.
Gainesville, Garfield. Talk about it.
Yeah. So player of the week, Troy Hamlin. Had an excellent game. I do like what they have offensively. Now they have a lot of guys who go both ways for Garfield, but I think this is a big game for Garfield because this may be like a measuring stick, right? They had a big win. They had a big win last week, and the question is, can they hang with what I consider probably at least in that region. Probably the best 3 teams in that region. We haven't seen Chessie Forest Park play. Perhaps they are. They are what we hear. I mean, we've got 2 Division 1 linemen, but those 3 teams, Battlefield, Patriot, and Gainesville. By all reports and off of what we've seen,
big boys.
Definitely the powers out here.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's going to be exciting to see them. Gainesville has Coben Smith, is that right?
Yeah.
They have Coben Smith out there, and they have really interesting though. Last year the game was 27-20 with Garfield, and I think you could argue this may be an improved Garfield team.
Yeah.
So I'm sure in their mind they're like, we can get those guys, we can get those guys. If we can get those guys, now all of a sudden we're looking like we're primed and ready to roll for them.
Colin Kilmer, thank you, Colin Kilmer. So absolute stud. I mean, drop back quarterback, old school gunslinger. Probably Division 1 kid. Absolute stud.
Well, they lost McClafferty, their receiver last year, who had like 1,600 yards.
Yeah, he was a
plus yards. So I mean, they've got to replace him. I know from everything we've heard, Gainesville has the firepower to replace him. But it'll be interesting. Is Garfield going to try to play keep away? Are they going to use the running threats between Jackson and Hamlin and try to just do what they did in that Braddock scrimmage, where they're just kind of just running between the tackles, burning off clock, building lead. But 27-20 was again against a Gainesville team that was pretty good. Now I'm fairly certain that Coben Smith did not play in that in that game. So that's big for them. So while they're losing McCafferty, he's not playing this game because he's graduating. To have Smith coming in is a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, and we heard reports, all offseason from other teams and other coaches in the area about just how big Gainesville was.
Yeah.
Some big linemen. They're going to offer protection. They're going to offer, open up some holes for the back.
Right.
I mean, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough, but you're right. It's a measure for Garfield. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, buddy. There's the Fab Five, my friend. The Fab Five. But wait, there's more. That would be.
There always is.
Yeah. Who was the wait? There's more guy. Was that Monty? Old Prices, not Prices, right? Who did
You mean Bob Barker?
No, maybe Bob Barker. I was thinking the door number 3. What was that? What show was that? The door number 1,
Oh,
door number 2.
let's make a deal
Let's
with
make a
Monty
deal.
with Monty Hall.
Monty Hall. Thank you, Monty Hall.
Luckily for us, based on our YouTube numbers, uh, about half the people who watch this are Gen X people. They're
Yeah.
45 to 54.
So they get
They are
these references.
they are our people.
Yes, they are our people.
Those of you young people and those of you who are teenagers who are watching this, sorry, I'm sure you have no idea who Monty Hall is.
Right. Look it up. Those are the old days.
Yeah.
All right. Well, notable matchups. Let's start from the top here. Chantilly Woodson. Chantilly at Woodson. Another player of the week performer.
Player of the week.
And I'm telling you, he looked, in limited time because of, they had a big lead, 7 for 7, 200 some odd yards, 30 yards a pass. Woodson obviously coming off the loss of Yorktown, but decent ball game. They fought hard. They lost by 2 scores. What do you think? Talk about this one.
No, I think it should. It was an interesting matchup last year, right? You and I were there. We saw it live in living color. It was a 1-score game into the fourth quarter with them last year.
Woodson had the lead with about 5-6 minutes to go, and then Avery Chow broke off a 90-plus yard touchdown game run to win it.
I could have gotten this whole podcast without you mentioning that, but I don't.
Believe me, my son talks about it all the time, buddy. All right.
But yeah, I think it should be a good one. I think that Woodson's pretty prepared. Andrew French played really well for Woodson.
Yeah, he did. He did. And I actually saw Andrew today, and he said, "You're going to talk about me on the pod." And I said, "You know what? You had a good day. We're going to make it happen, buddy."
Gabe Castro looked really good. I thought he looked.
Oh,
really
Castro
good.
looked phenomenal.
But Mantry's looking to take that next step. And if you read his write up, he wants to be a all region, all state guy. And if that's the case, he's got to come out this game and he's got to continue to flourish a little bit.
Good start.
He looked yeah, good start last week, but I think this week is the week if he's looking to make that jump. He wants to play Division I football. This is where he's got to kind of make the statement if he's going to do that.
Well, yeah, and we talk about the tiers, right? And it is what it is. I get it. You and I coached at Woodson, for a long time. And there's tiers to it all, right? And it just is what it is. And yeah, 7 for 7, great performance against Falls Church. Falls Church, Coach Coogan. I know you love Coach Coogan. He's putting a stamp on things. He's trying to do things the right way. But right now, they're finding their way. They're still trying to find their way. Woodson also trying to find their way. But it's one notch above in terms of opponent, right? Can Mantry keep it up?
Mm-hmm.
Now against, I made the joke 2 weeks ago about, Patriot, big boys, right? Well, now, he's playing, it's a big boy opponent now. And again, I'm not saying that Woodson's the 85 Bears. I'm not saying that, that's on his schedule for Chantilly. I'm just saying that it is a tougher opponent in week 2. And those are awesome aspirations to have. And now you got to go out there and earn it now.
Absolutely. Should be a good one. Yeah,
it should be a real fun one. And the Chantilly running game. We talk about Chow and how awesome he was a year ago. I think he was an all-region guy, all-conference guy. I'm looking forward to seeing the Chantilly running game, see what they got.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. South County, Quince Orchard. South County, Quince Orchard.
What's knowing most about Quince Orchard than
we just know that they're a power.
They're really good.
They're always good. Yeah, they're always good.
But Coach Pinoni kind of talked about in his write-up how he's looking to change the culture there, and that comes with taking out-of-state big name players, right? And credit to him, not a lot of teams from Virginia venturing out into Maryland.
Yep,
they're not, and I'm not saying they're scared. I'm not saying, but that's a big leap to take. That's a big jump to take to start playing out-of-state teams.
Right.
And it makes it interesting. But Coach Pinoni's not one to back down from something. Nope. They shot to that big lead against Robinson last week. I know they're still trying to get their feet wet and they made some different. They were playing some different kids at quarterback. Last week kind of rotating them through, so it looks like they're still trying to figure out what their identity is, or perhaps they have that is a plan. But it should be interesting against a opponent like Quince Orchard.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, like you said, Coach Pannoni, he knew what he was doing when he arranged this, right? I mean, he wants the best. He wants to play the best. He wants to prepare his guys for the playoffs, right? And so he's playing the best. Win, lose, or draw. He wants to play the best and prepare his guys for down the road. So I mean, it's a smart move. And like I said, win, lose, or draw, they're gonna walk away from that a better team.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, to your point, I am also curious to see, kind of what the growth of some of the positions over there, like quarterback position. What's going to happen there. They're which I think is smart. They're easing the young kid in at quarterback. Miska, they're easing him in. They had their all conference receiver, playing quarterback, running that little option. I kind of like that. That looked good. Tyler Orth looked good running that quarterback. And then I love the running back. Love the running back. So this is going to be it'll be kind of fun to see, how the old ball coach kind of works that offense. And their defense, like we know, is phenomenal. I mean, they held Robinson to, touchdown, and that safety was a punt. It kind of went over the punter's head. So all right. Another good one, and this team here, one of these things I'm about to tell you was kind of the upset on the losing end of the upset last week. But I know you're high on them. South Lakes hosting Robinson. Yeah,
another team, another Concord team that kind of needs a win, right? They need to.
They both do. This is that game you're talking about when you said must win.
Yeah. I need a chance to see what happened in the South Lakes game. I liked what I saw when I watched them in their scrimmage. I was really surprised when I saw that score, though.
I mean, you were really high on South Lakes, and I think there's still reason to be high on them. I think one loss is not going to define a season, obviously. But Robinson played tough defense at Robinson. They allowed those early 3 scores to Soko, and then they kind of shut it down after that. This is going to be a dogfight.
Yeah.
I could have made an argument for this game to be on the Fab Five.
But I do remember. I mean, just talk a little about South Lakes. I do remember Carl Frederick being really big on Osborne, but it was one of those teams that we didn't know anything about. We never seen anything for a write up for them, so we were unaware of what exactly how good they were. And it sounds like he was dead on. Sounds like he was dead on. That they're a pretty quality opponent. And I think we talked before about the emergence of some of these schools out here in Prince William County, beginning to emerge and start to come into their own.
Yeah. Well, let's continue going down the slate here. You got, and again, like I said, some of the games are versus teams a little bit out of the area. Anacostia, DC Public School, at Wakefield. We didn't talk about Fairfax Wakefield because that game was yesterday evening.
Yesterday, yeah.
From all reports that we got, Carl Frederick was there on the scene because that's the man that's always on the scene, the hardest working man. You think James Brown was the hardest working man? No. The hardest working man is Carl Frederick, buddy. And he was at that game, and all reports that Fairfax looked strong. Now our boy Ethan Lynch didn't play. That's our guy. He's there. Warwick Dunn. The Maltese is all stop, the A train. Yeah. And he said Maltese ran hard. I think he had 4 touchdowns.
Something like that. He had a multiple touchdown game for sure.
Maltese kind of carried the load. According to Carl. Lynch is healing up from a minor injury. And then number 90, I heard Gerald Martin, tore it up for Fairfax.
It's really good. The other thing we heard from the Fairfax coaches is how athletic they thought Wakefield looked.
Yes.
He had mentioned to us that he thought that athlete wise he thought Wakefield looked pretty dynamic.
Yes. Actually, you had an 80-yard touchdown run. By Wakefield. I'm trying to I want to make sure I give that young man credit because an 80-yard run, that's the kind of play that if you would have gotten that might have made your highlight of the week, my friend.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You need to submit that stuff to us, right?
Yeah, here it is. That was Isaiah Ledbetter.
Ledbetter.
Isaiah Ledbetter. I like that little Pearl Jam fan right there. Isaiah Ledbetter on the 80-yard touchdown run. I mean, fast as grease lightning, my friend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm glad. I am gled to hear that Wakefield seems to start to right the shit a little bit. So,
And that's what I heard. I spoke to a couple coaches, and Carl Frederick, and that's the one thing that they said that Coach Martin is turning things around over there. That team did not quit, and they showed some explosiveness, and this could be the resurgence of Wakefield.
it's awesome. It's awesome.
So them against Anacostia, we don't know. Hopefully, Wakefield can kind of keep that up and keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
All right. Going down the slate, my friend, going down the slate. We got Marshall coming off of they must be tired still after scoring 80 last week. Marshall at Falls Church. And your boy, Coach Coogan, who's turning things around over there. What do you think? Talk about that game.
So, it looks like Marshall's got it rolling. Hopefully, Falls Church is able to kind of right the ship a little bit. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take time. But I think we talked before, right? Marshall's kind of picked up where they left off last year, and it looks like they are not taking any prisoners. They're not taking any prisoners.
Well, we said it. We said Liberty, watch out.
Yeah.
Marshall's coming.
Yeah.
So let's see if that holds.
Yeah.
All right. Going down the slate here, we got McLean at Lewis. I like this one. Kind of an underrated game here. You got two teams, both 1-0, right? Both 1-0.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a 2-0 start for either one of those teams is going to be huge for those teams. McLean, because they're in the Liberty, and because it looks like the amount of competition in Liberty is going to be pretty big. And Lewis to start off 2-0, considering they've been struggling for a little bit, I think would just be huge for the program, right?
Yeah, man. If Lewis wins this and goes 2-0, Coach Choate, I mean, we talk about Herndon's turnaround. We talk about all these turnarounds we've seen over the last couple of years. This could be it, because I'm old enough to remember, some of these dominant Lewis teams from not that long ago.
And this is McLean. I think we had to bring it up. McLean with the highlight of the week, right? With Noah Jander or Jander. Highlight of the week there, right? Show some explosiveness right there. Should be exciting to watch. I'm sure the Lewis coaches are game planning for that kid to see how to stop him, but he looks pretty explosive.
Right. Yeah, man. All right, that's a good one. All right, another one. I'm kind of excited about here. Oakton at Fairfax. Fairfax turned around. Just had a game on Monday. They got to play again on Friday. Oakton, and then the tough defense. So the Oakton Cougars coming to town.
Yeah, so I mean, you're a big fan of the Oakton defense, right? I mean, you think they play pretty well, correct?
They did. I mean, all reports from Langley were that they did a good job. I mean, Langley was put in some spots. Langley's defense made some plays and put them in some spots with some interceptions and stuff. But Oakton's defense solid as a rock. They're going to have their work cut out for them. That's an explosive Fairfax team, though, buddy.
Yeah. Well, if Lynch is going to play, I mean, we don't know how Lynch is going to do if he's going to play.
You got Maltese, man. You got the A train, the M train.
Well, you could argue though that last week Oakton had to deal with another back, similar kind of featured back kind of again, right? So, could be big, right? I mean, Langley again, another Liberty team wants to start off 2-0.
Yeah.
We're talking about Oakton. Oakton needs to win.
They do need to win. Don't want to be 0-2. They don't want to be 0-2. And Fairfax in the Patriot,
they're still trying to stack those wins because they still got to go the gauntlet that is the Patriot, right?
Yeah, 100%. I'll tell you what, Maltese keeps running this way. I'm going to start calling the Maltese Falcon. Keeps running like this.
Bogart, right? That's a Bogart film.
Maltese Falcon, yeah, I believe so. Was it Redford? Was it Redford?
Maltese Falcon. It was like the 30s, right?
I don't know anymore, man. I was a big film buff when I was younger. Now I just watch Dumb and Dumber over and over again.
Yeah, 1941. I don't think Redford was.
They didn't remake that.
I don't believe so. And it was Bogart, right? It was Bogart. No, they did not. Did they remake that?
I thought Redford. Which one? Redford made a movie in the 70s that was. Did it have the term Falcon in it? And I'm just confusing it. I'm going to go back to that. The old brain is working overtime here.
Proposed sequel and adaptations on the good old Wikipedia and
Nothing. All right, we'll figure that one out. All right,
John Hudson directed it.
John Hudson, the great John Hudson.
Yeah, John. That's Drew Barrymore's grandfather,
Yes,
correct?
I think so.
There we go.
All right, we got going down the slate here. AC at Colonial Forge.
Yeah.
Tough matchup. Tough matchup.
Yeah, for sure. I think last year it was a close game if I remember correctly. Last year
Was it? Okay.
I think when we scouted we watched that game. I think it was back and forth.
Okay. I know AC is coming off right now. Is in the middle of a 12 game losing streak.
Yeah.
And that's tough. And I get it. You know, been there. I think, games like this and hopefully like the Centerville game last week, tough games, close games, going to make them better when they finally break through. They're going to break through. And when they do, they'll be better for it. Like we talk about Herndon. I think Herndon is the one we use as the example. It was a 27 game.
Yeah.
Herndon was on a 27 game streak, and now we're talking about Herndon winning, being a team that's fighting for the region.
I was wrong. It was not Colonial Forge that was close with. It was Potomac Senior that was close with last year. Last year it was a pretty big blow up. But Colonial Forge last week though almost lost that game. Woodbridge gets a 2-point conversion and they.
That's right.
They end up winning that game. And also last year the Colonial Forge beat Woodbridge pretty soundly 48-22.
Yeah, right. That's good. That's good to know. And then AC played Centerville tough. That Centerville, as we know, up year, down year, medium year, whatever. Centerville's always got talent, and if AC played them tight, that might be a solid AC team.
Although last year Colonial Forge only lost one regular season game. They lost to Mountain View, which we know is a really power down in the Stafford area.
Right.
And then they lost to Freedom in playoffs, but everybody lost to Freedom in the playoffs last year.
Right. All right, buddy. And we got another DC team playing. This is DC week. We got Woodrow Wilson at a DC playing, going to Yorktown. The classy Yorktown, the boosters, the rosters. We appreciate that.
Well, didn't you see Yorktown usually traditionally plays at least one DC team?
They do, and this is it. Yorktown, we saw them play live and in living color, as you say, and we watched that last week. They are big.
They're big. Like they got some big guys on that team.
A solid running game, quarterback, tight end. We talked about them last week. They kind of have it all, and they got a veteran coach going to kind of put it all together.
Well, this gets them to 299, right? Is this the game that gets them to?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think so.
Yeah. They didn't play Woodrow Wilson last year, so they played Jackson Reed. They played Jackson Reed. So I don't know if the DC team just take a rotation. I'm playing.
Just rotates,
maybe. Maybe. Because this should be year two, right? In the cycle.
Yeah, it should be. You're right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, but we're kind of winding down here a little bit. Manassas Park on Tuesday night played Osborne Park. But going to Friday's games, Hilton at Osborne Park. That's tough for Osborne Park. It's tough to play on a Tuesday and then a Friday, man. That's a tough.
100%.
Right.
Now last year, Hilton won 27-0, but I think it was close throughout the whole thing. But it should be interesting.
Yeah. It definitely should be interesting. I mean, and Hilton, this is no gimme. I mean, Hilton's coming off a tough loss. Our good friend, Coach Van Acker, kind of and they're our dark horse out there in Cardinal. Coming off a tough loss against Battlefield. You're playing one of the best teams in the state. It happens.
But you always wonder, as 15-year-old psyche, 15, 16-year-old, 17-year-old psyche, when you take a beating like that.
Yeah.
Especially if you are a established program that's been winning for a while, sometimes they can shake it off. But when you're trying to get your sea legs out from underneath you, and you take a loss like that, you always worry how they're going to respond. Now, Coach Van Acker's a fantastic coach. I'm sure him and the staff. We know a few guys on the staff.
Yeah.
They're really good at they're really good at what they do. But just trying to build that, instill them like you have to let it go. You have to let it go. And sometimes I think it is hard for a team to kind of let that go. taking a loss like that. But
Yeah,
I do
no,
think I do think that staff is up for the up to the challenge.
yeah, and that was one of Hilton's, like you said, 3 wins last year. So this is a big game for them. Again, to your theme, don't want to be 0-2.
Yes.
Don't want to be
Right.
0-2.
Right.
All right, Colgan versus Osborne. This is kind of a key game. Colgan played tough again in the first half against Braddock again, like they did a year ago. And we had our Lake Braddock correspondent, Adam, the incomparable Adam Hazara on here. And Adam Hazara, young John Clayton, he was impressed by Colgan, by quarterback with George Hill. George Hill at quarterback.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
No, not
impressed.
George Hill.
No,
I thought was it Richards was the quarterback? Oh,
yeah, sorry. We got to look that up. He was stat master. I'm just throwing names out here, buddy. I was gonna say George Lynch, but he played for UNC back in the day. So Colgan versus look, Colgan played awesome in that first half of that game. Osborne, maybe the surprise win, like you were talking about that.
Yeah.
I mean, Carl Frederick loves him. Osborne.
No, you were right. I was wrong. Richard's the linebacker. Hill is the quarterback.
I actually remember something from once. Look at that. The old punchy dash. The old Palooka. I actually remembered something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, George Hill because I remember Hazara saying that. He was very impressed by George Hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Osborne, Carl Frederick loves him some Osborne.
Well, both of them are Colgan had a good first half showing against a really good team in Braddock. And Osborne ends up winning their game against a team that I thought was pretty good in South Lakes.
That's a sneaky that's a sneaky game of the week, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That should be a big one. Yeah.
All right. Potomac versus Battlefield. I mean, look, Battlefield's a freaking monster. They're a monster right now.
Right. I mean, they have aspirations, right? They have aspirations to be, the best team in the area. I mean, they do.
Yeah. I have a feeling that they're probably gonna, Potomac's gonna give it all they got, right? Because they're not gonna go down, easy. But I think Battlefield's gonna overwhelm them. That's it. I think that's a Battlefield match. But let's see. I mean, if you're a team that's trying to build something, who better to play against than the best?
Well, that's why you play the game, right? Now, last year was not close, but who knows? Who knows?
Right.
I mean, you never know. I mean, it could be anybody's night on any given Friday night, right? Any given Friday night.
That's right.
You can jump up there, right? And so let's see if they can shock the world, right? Let's see.
All right. Remember George Foreman versus Michael Moore? Remember that one?
I do.
Yeah. See?
That was Teddy Atlas in the corner. No,
Teddy Atlas. I love. Yeah, he was. Yeah. Teddy Atlas. First guy. All right. Riverbend versus Forest Park. Now you love you some Forest Park. You love a good running game.
Well, I mean, you got 15 turner backup, those two Division One offensive linemen. You and I don't know anything about the Riverbend. I mean,
right.
We don't know anything about them.
We do not.
Yeah,
we do not.
So
I know that it's not in Ashburn.
Are you sure?
No, I'm actually not. Somebody could be like, "Well, Riverbend is the brand new school they built in Lawn. You didn't hear about that one?" No, I didn't know. I'm almost positive it's
Fredericksburg.
All right, there. See, I'm not crazy. So
I decided to look them up. They were 7-5 last year. Let's see, any wins against anybody I know. They had a close loss to Mountain View, 27-21 last year.
There you go. Yeah, solid.
They beat Forest Park last year, 43-15.
Yeah, that's an impressive win.
It is a really impressive win. Yeah.
Let's see if Forest Park can turn it around with those, huge linemen.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, South Riding going to Patriot. Man, we saw Patriot. That's another powerhouse.
Yeah, I mean, man, that's gonna be a tough team to beat. That Patriot team. Much like I think they're very much like a Hayfield in the fact that they have 3 kids who on the offense. They have a triplets, right? They have a running back, a quarterback, and a receiver.
Yep.
Who are really dynamic.
Yeah,
I mean, they're really good. I can't wait to see them when they get to play Battlefield.
Yeah.
Freedom South Riding, another emerging program. You go out there, and every time I would coach a team and where I would know that we were kind of outclassed, I would tell them all the time, hey, if you just keep it close to the third quarter, anything can happen. Just keep it close to
Right.
that middle of the third, and anything can happen. You don't have to be
Right.
ahead. Just have them within striking distance. Put the pressure on them, and I think that if you're an emerging team like Freedom South Riding, you tell your kids, hey, just keep it close. The thing I tell them, I say, if you can keep it close for 3.5 quarters, I can figure out a way to win the game.
Yeah.
Just give me the opportunity to figure it out and put the pressure on them. So, let's see if Freedom South Riding can get in there and keep it close. Keep it close for a little while and put some pressure on Patriot.
And speaking of West Springfield, I know they're kind of the not West Springfield. I'm sorry. Well, they're on a bye too, right? West Springfield's on a bye.
They are, yeah.
And so is Hayfield. Teams that really impressed us last week. But Hayfield's kind of the talk of the town. With everyone had all eyes on that game. They're on a bye week. So I wanted to point that out that those two heavyweights are on a bye week this week.
Yeah.
And last game on the slate that I have, anyways, is Woodbridge Unity Reed. Talk about it. What do you think about that one?
So Woodbridge, they're a play away from being 1-0. They're play away from being 1-0.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
They're another one of those teams in the Cardinal. They're trying to kind of fill that void, right? Fill the void left by Freedom. So another team, right? They don't want to start off 0-2.
Right.
They don't want to start off 0-2, because as you get into district play, you don't want to be looking ahead of anybody. You want to try to get yourself as close as you can.
Yeah. No, it should be a good one. Kind of see what happens there. All right, buddy. Well, that's the slate, the week 2 slate, which again I'm stoked about because you're looking at a nice Friday night. This is what you and I talked about. This is the night where you got the apple cider, you got the coffee, you got the hot chocolate, little smoke coming out of the mouth, when you breathe, and you kind of see it, you got the Dumb and Dumber, Jim Carrey, you got your two gloving it a little bit maybe at night, you're feeling good about it. I think this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good, you kind of smell a little bit, and you smell like the burnt logs in the distance.
Yeah.
This could be one of those nights.
And where you're going to be the second game, and now all of a sudden, you might be 0-2, you might be 1-1, we could be 2-0. These are a lot of the games where you don't want the what ifs, right? That's right.
Well, throw it out there again before we go. Please subscribe. Look at these two faces. Why would you not subscribe? Come on, look at us. Now we appreciate everybody again, all the support, and keep it coming, keep sharing it, all that good stuff. Again, get those rosters out to us. Get those rosters out to us if you can. And I think that's all she wrote for today.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for watching today and listening. And we'll see you next time breaking down all this great action when we see you guys on Sunday afternoon.
All right. See ya.
Doing it all Hitches. See you guys next time.